Hey everybody, it's Steve with Sky 194, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to stop in and visit and check out my video. And we're here at Zandvoort in the AMG EVO, and again, I've just been working on this thing multiple days, different times when I have time to work on it. I really try to hunker down and work on it a lot today to try to get this thing finished up. And man, have I tried so much stuff. I have pretty much thrown everything but the kitchen sink at it. Um, so you might grab a drink, sit down. It's probably going to be a little longer than normal, but I want to go over a few things. So again, spent a lot of time with it. Really not where I want to be honest. So I mean, I hate saying that, but I'm brutally honest, and it's really not where I want it to be. It's not bad, but I was really hoping for maybe a few more tenths. And but it's good drivability that I do like. It's really drivable, so that's a good thing. But the performance of it is just a few tenths where I want it to be. So again, we'll make a couple laps here, and we'll get start here behind the car, so you can see kind of where my braking is and things like that. Again, it's the most important turns is this last one. Be wide open all the way through. Every once in a while, if you're off a little bit, you got to blip it. It's nothing of the world. And of course, I'm hitting the brakes basically right here at the 100, all the way into the 100. So, I mean, I'm actually past it in the car, so I'm actually braking where this line is. That's what I'm looking at. But basically, I'm all up past the 100. Now, this is where I simulated, like I said, in the pit stop. I had 80 liters, or actually here I had 90 liters, and I started off with 45. So that's like a half a tank. So that's basically what I did, to see how about the ride heights and things like that. Of course, I come down in here into first. You might be able to do it in second. I just do it in first because it just works simpler. Of course, first here also help rotate the car a little bit sometimes if you're a little wide. Now this turn is pretty critical up here. I'm braking right here where this orange marker is. That's what I'm judging off of here. You don't really want to, kind of like the Bentley, you don't really want to drive it down in there. Not really, because sometimes what'll happen is you'll skid the whole car. It just overwhelms it. So you really want to just come up to this orange marker here and hit the brakes, and then start feeding it off, start releasing the pressure and trying to get it back on the gas. Hold it the inside, go up to fourth. And again, another tricky turn. Again, right where that little kink is, right back here. That little kink is where I hit the brakes. And of course, you gotta be careful because it's got like a two-step curb here, and that's why you always want your tires up a little higher, up near high 27s, because if you're hitting this thing a lot and you're only like mid 27s or lower 27s, you'll lose air in the right front for sure. So you always want them to carry, really critical in this right front to keep it up near 28, high 27s, so it'll hold pressure when you're running over this curb. But you also got to watch this secondary curb here, because if you run over too much, it'll crash. You'll end up losing it because you're not supposed to go over that. So again, just keep that in mind. And also the brakes, the back end will slide a little bit if you get too aggressive. So you don't want to get too aggressive with the brakes. So you go right over that. That's pretty much about perfect, because you don't want to hit this other thing here. But you're gonna run out as wide as you can, and then of course I'm going off of this. I'm going off of this here, the turn, this sign over here to the right. That's what I'm judging my brake marker off of. So I'm on the brakes really hard. And again, there might be a couple of different ways you can take these next two turns. I go down to first, cut it in nice and tight, And then over here, you're going to run out. And again, I'm using the orange here where the guy is. It's orange on the guardrail over here. I've tried both ways, first and second. And first seems a little faster. I've tried second over and over. So you might be able to get it to work, but it seems like you lose about 1/10 of a second, something like that. It feels pretty good, but it's just not as quick. And also in first, you can kind of help rotate the rear a little bit with the throttle. So, but it's just, again, you can adjust it to how you want. If you like second gear a little better, then second gear might be better. So again, get out in first, hold it to the curb, and run it right out wide. And then, of course, here, I'm using the end of this curb as my brake marker. You can go right up to it because it's really got good, really good on the brakes. Down to first. Again, you got to watch this secondary curb here. You don't mind hitting this, but you don't want to hit this. Down to first again. And here, once you hit about the apex, you can really get on the throttle and start feeding it throttle to try to help rotate the car. So you're full throttle coming off the corner. See, I'm already on the throttle, full throttle. And that way it kind of helps with the, the rotation of the car. Again, hold it really nice and tight here. $157, good speed. That's a 136.23. Yeah, it's got good, it speeds just as good as the Bentley is. It's right around. No matter what I did, it seemed like with the wing, it was 157. I mean, if I put a lot of wing in it, maybe 156, but it stayed 156, 157, no matter what I did. I couldn't do any better. I'm gonna rewind this. I want to show you something. When you enter this bowl area, there we go. I'll show you this. When you enter this bowl area, you gotta sometimes don't be so aggressive because the brakes will rotate the car. Okay, so see, I'm already, if you look at the steering wheel. You can see the steering wheel right there is actually turned to the left a little bit. So you see that? So actually what you're doing is the back end is actually rotating the car. So if you turn to the right, you're going to go off into the grass or so. So you really want to keep, when you're going on the brakes and going in this bowl, you want to keep the car pretty much straight. You want to try to keep the car straight and then turn in as the corner goes, because again, the car, when you're on the brake, you see I'm on the brakes, not all the way, but I'm on the brakes, and it's gonna try to rotate the car. So again, that's just a tip to kind of help you go through this bowl area as fast as you can. But you can see the tires, they're actually turned just a teeny bit to the left. So I mean, we're not talking a lot here. We're not talking major counter steering. We're just talking a little bit. And of course, then you can just drive it right through, right next to the curb. Slid a little bit through there, but it was really good. It was controlled. And again, you want to come in here, come in a late apex, so you can get a better run through here. Feed it the gas, and it's solid. It's not going sideways or anything like that. So again, try to miss that big curb. Feed it some gas. Get the back end to rotate around. You hit it on that curb, it's no big deal. Right to the edge. Come back. Just keep it wide open. You can touch that curb. I've touched it. It's fine. So that's a good thing. I've crashed with the AMG there. Again, 157, all 157. So I did that every single time. And that's a 135.94. That was my fast lap. So again, you know, just takes a lot of practice. Again, I wish I would be more like a 35.6, something like that would be, to me, a lot better in this situation. But it's pretty much that's what it is for this era, this iteration of it. As I spent, you'll see on. Let's go back. Look at the timetable. Look at that. There's 26 laps right there, and this is not the first time. I've been doing this for hours, so this is I probably got 60, 70 laps just now, not just today. So again, it takes lots of time to dial things in. There's another There's about another it's only about 400 or 500ths. So again, I'd be down to like a 90 or maybe a high 80 something. But again, higher fuel was up here, and I ran like 6-7 laps, and you can see up here. And this is with over 80 liters. So again, you got 36.8, 36.6, 36.4, 36.4, 36.4, 36.4. It's super consistent for the AMG. I thought it was very solid, very solid. So again, I wish it was more like a low 36, like a 36.1 or something like that. I just at 310, so I keep trying to find it, but it just for right now, this is just a good start, good base. And it's a good good drivability car for the AMG. Tire wear was really good also for the AMG for this track. Usually it's really bad. It had some light graining, but that's it. And the wear was not too bad because the left front here, again, takes an absolute thrashing. So it wasn't real bad for what it was. So let's go over the setup. We got 24.5 left front, 25.1 left rear, 26.6 right front, 26.3 right rear. The toe on the front is negative 0.02, with the camber at negative 3.4 on the left and negative 3.2 on the right. The caster's at 10.5. And on the rear, the toe is positive 0.15, with the camber at negative 3 on the left and negative 2.8 on the right. Now, there's a couple things you can try here if you like. You can go up a couple clicks on each one of these. On the negative camber, you can go up to negative 3.6, negative 3.4, and it's not bad. I don't mind it, and I didn't really see any major difference in performance. It might have been a teeny bit faster, but I don't. More driver than anything else. But the only thing I worry about is later in the stint. If you had a longer stint, you start having to crank the wheel a lot more to get it to do something. So again, I went as tight as I could, but I wouldn't go any less than that. Caster, again, you could probably keep it there, maybe even go all the way to 11, a little over 11. But I kept it between 10 and a little over 11, so I settled for 10.5, just in the middle. And of course, the positive toe on the rear is to help it rotate. Especially run that last corner. As free as you can, because you want to be on the fuel, on the gas, and you just don't want to be on the gas. You don't want to have to crank too much steering into it. You want to be able to be on the gas, full throttle, and as little steering input as possible, so the car is free and accelerates without trying to understeer and you're dragging the front tires. So that's what the goal is anyway. Electronics are 4 and 3. So again, you can do 3 and 3. I did it, but it just did give a little bit extra leeway. I did 4 and 3. So again, but I did do 3 and 3 also, and I didn't really see that big of a performance gain. Mainly, and if the tires are worn a little bit, it gets to be a little bit of a handful coming off the corners, so you end up losing time. So I just gave it 4 and 3. Of course, like I said, 80 liters. And of course, like I said, the tire wear wasn't too bad. Mechanical, got 4 on the anti-roll bar, 54 on the brake bias, 12 on the steering ratio. The springs on the front are 155,000. with a 500 bump stop rate and a 6 bump stop range. And on the rear, the springs are 119,000 with a 400 bump stop rate and a 25 bump stop range. Any roll bar is 5 on the rear with a preload at 60. Now, the brake bias, you can go down to 53. That's not a problem. I've tried so many different spring packages, I couldn't even tell you. Soft, super hard. I mean, I've gone the gamut of spring packages. Usually the AMG does not like a lot of super stiff springs in the front, but it seemed on this occasion it did seem a little better than going real soft. So I settled for these, the 155,000. So I went with that. And of course, I tried the max. You know, the next click up is maxed out, and I had it at that. So you can try that if you like it. That would help the car rotate again just a little bit more. So again, you might want to try it. You could try that also, especially if you had a heavy fuel load. I mean, like if you had like a full tank, if you had like 100 liters, 100 and something liters of fuel, you might want to go up to the maximum on the spring in the rear. So that's just because that's where most of the fuel is over the rear. So other than that, everything else, the diff, I've tried some different things on the diff and just settled for this. Didn't really see any advantage to anything else. Shocks. Shocks are crazy. I mean, I don't know what it is with it, but I tried so many different spring packages, and basically this is what they are. It's 1122 on the front and 1121 on the left rear and 1131 on the right rear. So basically just very low shock settings. Kind of weird how that works. And I tried so many different spring packages. I had it I had them super stiff and super soft, and it really didn't change it that much. So again, that's by Motec, and we can take a quick look at it so you can see what the graphs are. There you go, and that's on the fast run. That's on the 35.94. Now you can see, I mean, the graphs aren't real bad. I mean, they were so way different than that starting out with. I mean, again, they're a little high here, but I mean, and you got to remember, you got to take each lap different. So the lap before that, let's look at it now. See, now it's below it. So again, you gotta weigh that. You gotta check a couple different laps and keep that in mind, because a few things, depending upon what bumps you hit and what things you do, it might not need to be changed. So that's why if it's really close, sometimes you can just leave it. So again, that's what I did. I left that, and of course they're way all the way down anyway in a lot of things, but they're right near, like this one's 50 right on the nose, the bump on this side, so that's good. This is 50.6 on this side. These are a little different on the bump on the rear, but not really what you could do with that. That one's 48.4, and that one's 49, or yeah, 48 on this side. So again, they're not as good, close as I want them to be, but they're as good as I could get them. So again, that's the Motec. Aero got 46 in the front, 71 in the rear with a 10 splitter, a 7 rear wing, and a 4 and a 3 in the brake ducts. And the front aero variation is a positive 0.8. So again, with this, if you look, you got 46 in the front, 71 in the rear. We got 80 liters. So if we go down all the way down to 3 liters, this goes up to 47, and this comes up to 74. So again, most of the fuel is over this, because you can see where the fillers are. It's right over, probably just right in front of the rear axle. So when you get the fuel comes off, the rear is going to come up more than the front. Like I said, it just came up 1, and it came up 3, and you can see the front aero variation now was a positive 1.2. So again, you got to keep that in mind. So actually, I lowered it down a click, 1 or 2 clicks from where I had it, because when I went and did the test, and the first time I did the test with lower fuel, I didn't like it. It was sliding around too much because you had too much, even with fresh tires, because this was way up, and that's when it wasn't even as high as it was there. I mean, I started with 40, so you can see it just was up to it just comes up 1. So you can imagine less, it'd be even more. So that's why I went ahead and lowered it. I think it was 2 from in the very beginning. So now it's at 71, and that's where I ran my better time, running just running more consistent, was more drivable. Again, trying to keep it to where it has good performance when it has heavy fuel load, and also lighter fuel load. Now let's say you go max out fuel, so you got 120 liters in there now. Okay, so now we'll go to, let's say, 5 liters. Now it's up to 47 and 75. So again, now we're up to 1.3 front air variation. So it's gone up even a teeny bit higher. So again, that's because it just goes off of how much fuel you have in there at the start. And when you do your fuel load test, it changes the ride height of the car. So again, those are things that I keep, I test and keep in mind because it makes a difference. Again, it's a balance. It's a give and take. You're trying to get the car for good pace when it has heavy fuel load, but also it doesn't do you any good if the car is total garbage when you're lower. You got lower fuel load, and whether you got worn tires or brand new tires. So I mean, it's just if the car is non-drivable, it doesn't make a difference how good it is. When you got a lot of fuel. So again, I try to do that and test it out. So I try to find at least a balance for the car. So again, I hope you like it. I hope it works okay for you. Again, it's a good starting point, and it's got a good balance to it. And I hope that you like it, and give me a like and subscribe to help support the channel. I'd really appreciate it. And of course, a link to this setup will be in the description for anybody who wants to get it that way. And of course, I have a PayPal link down there also if anybody wants to help support the channel that way. I thank you very much. And I sure any feedback or comments would be great. Again, I always love talking to all my sim racing friends, and I sure hope you come back and visit again really soon. Y'all take care. See ya.